Hello, and welcome to From God's Heart to Mine. I hope you're having a great day. Thanks for joining me as we aim to draw nearer to God every day. When we start telling a story, it's normal for us to start at the beginning. I don't know if you've ever walked up on a conversation when someone else is in the middle of a story and the person they're talking to has all the context, but you have no idea what's going on. And maybe you're like, what did I just walk into, when you catch the story beginning in the middle or toward the end? And so it makes sense for us when telling a story to start at the beginning. But the question is, which beginning? For example, if I'm having a conversation with you and I'm trying to tell you a story about something my dog did, and I begin the story by saying, well, it all started when I was born, and then eventually and lead the way up to I got a dog and so on, you probably say, well, that's way too much context. I don't need all that. And that might be how we see the Gospel of Mark beginning. Mark begins the story of Jesus right with his ministry as he is baptized by John in the wilderness, and then he begins performing miracles. Well, the Gospel of Luke and the Gospel of Matthew go back further and start with the beginning of Jesus' life, with his birth, with his upbringing, and they give different pieces of information in that part of the story. But no one goes further back than the Gospel of John. In John's Gospel, he takes us all the way back to the literal beginning. We're familiar with the words of Genesis 1 and verse 1 at the beginning of the Bible, which says, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." Well, John's Gospel, as he's writing about the life and work of Jesus, begins by echoing those words. And he says in John 1, verse 1, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." Now, John goes on in his first chapter, in his prologue, to say more about what he really means by this statement. But simply from the fact that he says, "In the beginning was the Word," we know that he is taking the story of Jesus all the way back to the beginning of everything. And what that tells us is that in John's picture of Jesus, Jesus takes the prime position of the universe. In fact, in this very chapter, John would record John the Baptizer saying about him in John 1 and verse 15, "This was he of whom I said, 'He who comes after me is preferred before me, for he was before me.'" And that's the point being made. Jesus goes all the way back to the beginning. He was there in the beginning when God created the heavens and the earth. He was involved in that very process, and he comes first. He's before all else because he was literally before all else. As much as the biblical worldview begins with, "In the beginning, God created," the Christian worldview also begins with, "In the beginning was the Word." Jesus' presence in the beginning gives him primacy, what we might call the first place. Paul would describe Jesus in Colossians chapter 1 as being over all creation. He has the number one spot. He's first. He comes before anything else because of what John says. "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." But the question we're going to ask today based on that is this: what place does Jesus have in your life? If Jesus has first place in the universe, he has the first spot, the prime position of everything, because he was there in the beginning. What position does he have in your life? Do you take care of everything else you want, and then if you have some time left over, you'll leave some time for the Lord at the end of the day? Or maybe you have your agenda for the week and your plan for the week, and we have all these different things pulling us in so many directions: responsibilities at home, responsibilities at work, responsibilities at school, responsibilities with friends or others. What place does Jesus get in our lives? Does he come first, Are we pursuing Him first, and are we putting His will first in all we say and do? James would tell us in James 4 and verse 15 through 17 that in doing good things in our lives, we should build our lives around the Lord's will. Are you putting the Word, Jesus, who was in the beginning, who was there at the first, are you putting Him first in your own life? When you pray today, recognize how important it is to have the right priorities in your life and in the things you want. Thanks for listening to From God's Heart to Mine. Go ahead and follow the podcast if you want to hear a new devotional thought regularly. My name is Caleb Griffith. You can reach out to me on any platform, and I'll include you in my prayers today. Open your heart today to pursue God's heart and try to show God's heart to others.